Hey people, so today is Wednesday, which means it's another book Wednesday, the day in the week where I talk to you guys about books. And this topic is all about slow reading and what causes slow reading. The reason behind this video topic is because I was starting to question whether or not I've become a slow reader. So I went on to my trusted friend Google and I googled slow readers and the causes of slow reading. Well, this brought me up to two articles that I read. One was pretty lengthy, which I would call Article 2, and I read another article which wasn't as long, and I call that Article 1. And Article 1 is the one that I'm using in this video, which I have here on my phone. So in this video I'm going to be referring to my phone just to get certain points from the article, and I'm going to try and interpret what I think that means. And I'm also going to be reading some things from the article, but of course I will link both articles down below in the thingamajig, and you can go read them if you want to go read them. In Article 1 it talks about reading habits and what causes us to be slow readers and what causes us to be fast readers. And the first point in the article is actually about the habits that we collected as children and brought on into adulthood. So in the article it talks about the habits that we picked up, and we nourish those habits all the way through our developing of reading and so on and so forth. Which makes a very, very interesting point to say that if you picked up bad habits as a child, you carry those bad habits all the way through adulthood. So if you're a slow reader as a child and never worked at picking up your reading speed, you will always be a slow reader, or what's deemed to be a slow reader, even though you could be quite quick at reading a book or something. But then it talks about fast readers, where you can read a certain amount of words in a certain period of time. The article also goes on to talk about sub-vocalization, where it's the method of mounting the word as you read it to understand it and to remember that word. And then it also talks about how after a while we stop to do this because we start to recognize certain words, such as branding of imagery or certain text. So for argument's sake, Coca-Cola, we will see that we wouldn't have to say the word, we wouldn't have to mount the word, we wouldn't have to do anything with that word. It just automatically just sticks in the brain and it's there, and we soon start to forget to do this, and we don't really need to do it because we already know all these words. It also goes on to state that if you want to become a fast reader, that you would have to cut out all the sub-vocalization that you would do to speed up your process. So by doing this, the average reading of words is about 250 words per minute, and which increases by 60%. I'm going to read the part of the article where it talks about becoming a faster reader. Individuals who want to try to read faster constantly make an effort to lessen their sub-vocalization during reading. The average reading speed of a person is around 250 words per minute, accompanied by reading comprehension level of around 60%, which is pretty damn good. Now, I'm aware for a lot of people, if you have a learning disability, that's not going to be the case. And me personally know very much that I do not read 250 words per minute, and I do not read a comprehension at 60%. I think I read about 100 words per minute, and my reading comprehension is like 35% or something like that, or was when I was tested for dyslexia. So it's not 100%. This is obviously based on people who don't have a learning disability. So if you have a learning disability, don't worry about statistics. The article then goes on to state that how our reading habits can be inherited by someone else. So basically it talks about if you were taught how to read by someone who is a slow reader, that could slowly become a habit that you pick up, and that would continue out if you don't practice your reading by yourself and speeding up your reading comprehension and so on and so forth. And another thing that the article goes on to talk about is bad reading habits. And I'm going to list out the bad reading habits that they have on this. The first bad habit they have in this article is vocalizing while reading. And what this actually means, this is reading aloud. And for me personally, I don't know about you guys, but you can comment down below if this was done for you, that you had to read aloud when you're in school. You were called upon by the teacher, you had to stand up or you sat down, but you had to read a certain paragraph or a certain couple of lines in your text aloud to your class, and then the person beside you would do the same thing, and so on and so forth. I know that's what we did in school, so I'm not sure that's a bad habit. I think that's just a matter of how people are taught. Another bad habit they have in this is reading text word by word. Now again, reading word by word is going to slow you down because you are reading word by word. So if there's going to be a gap, you're going to go, the bee is in the nest. Bees don't go in nests, but you get the idea. The next one they have for bad reading habits is something that I actually have to admit that I don't actually fully agree on. So the next bad reading habit is something that I know I do, and I don't know if it's because I have a bad habit of doing it, because I don't do it the whole time. But regressing. That means going back to reread words and sentences that have been read because it's become a habit and not of a necessity. Now I go back and read over sentences, over words, over paragraphs when I feel that I may have missed something that has later affected the storyline. And that usually means it's within the next page or is in that chapter, and I felt that I would have missed something that affected. And in some cases, not all cases, that I have missed something, so I don't think that's a bad thing. Another thing that can affect a child when it comes to reading is a negative attitude. So a negative attitude towards reading can slow a child down in the reading, so they become a slow reader. And with this, they would have to be corrected and worked on to give them a positive influence on reading, so that reading doesn't become a burden to them and that they're only reading it because they have to read it. They're not reading it because they want to read it. So if they have a negative attitude, if you have a negative attitude towards reading, this article is basically saying that if you have a negative attitude to reading, you're going to either be a slow reader or you're not going to read at all. Now in some cases it's not necessarily because you're a slow reader that you're going to not read. It's just that your attitude to reading has to be good if you want to be a better reader. The article then goes to conclude. Most people who are slow readers are not so because they lack the ability to read faster. It is because of these bad habits that they have formed over the years that they have learned to become slow readers. So basically the article then, after all that, saying that it's all your fault that you're a slow reader, and you know, if you want to be a better reader, you have to practice and have a good attitude, which makes a perfect good sense. If you want to be a fast reader, you have to practice your reading. You have to change your attitude towards reading. If you're a non-reader and you kind of want to give reading a try, but you never liked reading, comics. Comics are your answer. Read comics. They have pictures, they have words, they're fast-paced, they're short, and they're really enjoyable. In conclusion to this video, do I believe I am a slow reader? And the answer is no. I just get too easily distracted with other things and reading comes secondary. But on that note, guys, if you feel that you are a slow reader, you just gotta have to change your attitude, have fun with reading, and don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and watch the rest of my content. And I see you all on Friday. If you're a non-reader and you kind of want to give reading a try, but you never liked reading, comics. Comics are your answer. Read comics. They have pictures, they have words, they're fast-paced, they're short, and they're really enjoyable.